Okay, Murder on the Orient Express, and you know, my experience with Agatha Christie is pretty much limited to a lot of the later adaptations throughout the '80s and '90s and into today, where the David Suchet, Hercule Poirot. Didn't really watch a lot of the Miss Marple. I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen any of the Miss Marple ones, but yeah, that's my main exposure to Agatha Christie. I did not see the 1976 one with Albert Finney. But so yeah, again, the funny thing about that is with Suchet being the chosen actor of the Christie estate, the only one that they approved of, they thought really belonged in the role of Hercule Poirot. I had to wonder, how good Kenneth Branagh was going to be in this. Uh, I will say this: I thought the mustache was a little over exaggerated. Like I said, I'm mainly used to the David Suchet one, but. For the most part, yeah, I think he was really spot on in this. He was really good. Hercule Poirot is the greatest detective in the world. The film opens up in Jerusalem, and he's solving this case about a stolen artifact, religious artifact, and there's a priest, a rabbi, and an imam. Sorry, a Muslim priest, basically, and they've each been accused of it, and it turns out it was actually none of them. It was the police inspector, because Poirot was able to identify that the inspector's shoes had been on the wall that had been scaled for this to steal this artifact. And it's from there that he gets a transfer to Istanbul, where he meets up with an old friend, Mr. Booker, and he then gets called away on business, so he has to take the Orient Express. And this is kind of where a lot of the blow-by-blow stuff is going to stop at a certain point, because with a whodunit, you really go blow-by-blow. You're just reciting the whole movie, and I know I get into that problem a lot. So I'm going to try not to as much. But the main thing is, while he's on the train, he meets some unique characters, a doctor, a professor, an heiress, a countess, a governess, and the main one is a sort of mobster named Ratchet, who's been dealing in primarily Oriental rugs. And he apparently dealt some forgeries and ticked off the mafia, and now they're after him. He wants Poirot to sort of watch his back, see if anyone kills him, to know who it is that did it. And Poirot turns him down because he thinks Ratchet is scuzzy. And that night, it's basically like their second or third day on the train. There's an avalanche that basically halts the train, takes out the lead, the conductor's booth and everything. So the train is basically stranded mostly on a bridge, so no one can really escape. And then it's discovered that Ratchet has been stabbed to death. As Poirot immediately begins the investigation, he knows everyone that was in this one compartment is basically a suspect, and he knows for some reason they all seem to have some sort of weird connection to Ratchet. And what he mainly discovers is that Ratchet's real name was Cassini, and he had been convicted of a Lindbergh baby-esque kidnapping. The family in this case was named Armstrong, and basically, when everything that happened had happened, the wife was pregnant with a second child. She had miscarried and died in the process of that. Mr. Armstrong took his life, and the whole family was decimated. There was a maid that had been falsely accused. And as he starts slowly piecing things together, he slowly starts to find out that each and every one of these people had connections. For one thing, he finds out that the professor is not a professor. He's actually a Pinkerton agent who had a relationship with the falsely accused maid. He finds that a missionary, Penelope Cruz's character, was really another maid working for that family who had connections to her. I think she was actually the daughter of the falsely accused maid, too. I can't remember the exact relation there. And then they find out that the princess, Judi Dench's character, is the godmother to the wife of Armstrong, who and everything in that. So, like I said, it's all connected to this one case. It was Armstrong, and Poirot himself was connected because at one point Armstrong wrote him to help solve the case, but unfortunately Poirot could never get back to him in time, and by that point Armstrong had taken his own life. And so, you know, it's really the story of the movie is pretty short for movies nowadays. It's just under 2 hours. Like I said, I'm trying to be not so blow by this, but again, like I said, he starts piecing everything together. It's pacing wise, it's very quick. A lot of the performances are really good. I would say probably the big ones, obviously Branagh as Poirot. Josh Gad plays basically like a lawyer slash secretary, arranger agent for the Johnny Depp character Ratchet. Johnny Depp as Ratchet is pretty good. Daisy Ridley's character, whose name escapes me at the minute, I'll just put that down here. Daisy Ridley was really good at this. Michelle Pfeiffer was really good as sort of this American gold digger, but there's actually a bit more to her than that. Anyway, as he slowly starts to piece things together, he comes to the sudden revelation as to who the real killer is, and it's everyone. Everyone is basically everyone that he's suspected is the killer. They all basically arranged it. They drugged him. They drugged Ratchet so that he would be asleep, and then each of them stabbed him at least once. And he's basically left with this: well, I could either turn you all in, or the only way. Yeah. And several of them say, "Look, we were justified in this. This man ruined so many lives. His life was not worth living on." And Poirot gravely disagrees. He says, "Look, the only way you're going to go through life with a clean conscience is to take me out too." And he puts this gun down and he says, "Go on, do it." And Michelle Pfeiffer's character, who it turns out is actually this actress who was the mother of, basically the grandmother of the child that got killed. She grabs the gun, tries to use it on herself, was actually unloaded the whole time. And he basically says, "Look," Poirot says, "I can't, you might be, and because you are justified, I am such conflicted conscience on this myself. Yes, your homicide was justified, it was still homicide. And there's so many of you, and I don't think you're bad people. You did something bad for the right reason. I have no choice but to let you all go. But know this, you're going to carry this guilt with you for the rest of your life." And that's kind of the unique thing about Murder on the Orient Express, because it's probably the most well-known Agatha Christie novel, maybe next to 10 Little, Anyway, like I said, next to that, and, it's Hercule Poirot's most well-known case. It's also his biggest failure, in that he does not find justice, he does not catch the culprit, and, yeah. Like I said, overall, Branagh directed the film too. I would say maybe the pacing gets a little too quick. I do wish they maybe spent a little bit more time sussing out more of the characteristics. A lot of it went by too fast to try to catch sometimes. Other than that, though, I really have no complaints about this. I'm going to give Murder on the Orient Express an A. So yeah, if you have the time, go see it. Okay, trailer time, and mostly new trailers this time around, so that's a good thing. First off, we have, and I am really winging this pronunciation, Noviat. It's about a convent that is being has some new proselyters, basically new nun pledges. There's an old school nun who really believes it's in the mid '60s. There's an old school nun who really goes into the old Catholic thing, even as far as to have the nuns commit self-flagellation on occasion. And she's having to deal with reforms in the church, and yeah, there's kind of a unique sort of trial situation that seems to be burgeoning on this. It looked pretty good. Didn't quite get the, like I said, winging the pronunciation names. After that, we have Roman J. Israel Esquire. That is the movie about Denzel Washington is a lawyer. I think he's kind of a public defender who gets fired, and he betrays a client's confidence and turns in a major criminal for a major reward, and it kind of comes back to bite him. After that, we have, what did I write here? Just Beginning Starter? Oh, no, Just Getting Started, I'm sorry. That's what I wrote, Just Getting Started. Morgan Freeman and Tommy Lee Jones are living in this retirement community. Morgan Freeman's kind of like the most popular guy in the retirement community, but then Tommy Lee Jones arrives and sort of starts to usurp him, and a rivalry develops between the two. It's strange. It kind of reminded me of the movie Space Cowboys, and I don't know why. I mean, not just because Tommy Lee Jones is in it, but there is kind of like that weird, sort of semi-serious comedy starring senior citizens. After that, we have the 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. This is a movie with Frances McDormand in it. Woody Harrelson's in it. Woody Harrelson is a sheriff. Frances McDormand is a mother of a young lady who was killed, and she feels that the police are dragging their feet on the crime, so she's trying to basically call them out, and she rents out these 3 billboards throughout the town to basically get them to get off their butts and solve the murder case. After that, we got our only repeat trailer, The Wonder. And then after that, we have back-to-back Owen Wilson movies rounding things out. We have Father Figures. Ed Helms and Owen Wilson are brothers who realize that they've never found out who their father is because their mother was this hippie who got around in the 60s. And so they start searching through several people, including Terry Bradshaw. It looked pretty throwaway. There was one joke that was funny out of all of it. Ving Rhames is in the movie, and he actually plays an old teammate of Terry Bradshaw, and they bring up the mother character, and he talks about how great she was, and then suddenly they put out, yeah, that's her mother, like, oh, we only just cuddled. That was the only joke. Like I said, I was trying not be so blow-by-blow on this. I hope this came across a little bit better than most of my other reviews. I think my Thor Ragnarok review got way too rambly. I do have to warn you, the next review might also be pretty rambly, because that's going to be Justice League. And, of course, in between that, we're going to have, on Sunday, the random trade review on, Hawkeye versus Deadpool. And then, like I said, then Justice League, and then after that will be NXT War Games, and then Survivor Series. See you all then. Hey guys, just a reminder, I am on Patreon now at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. There's a reward tier where you can request for me to review a movie. So if you want to force me to see something like the Emoji Movie, here's your chance.